Good evening. I would like to call to order the Monday, May 19th, 2025 Currituck County Board of Commissioners to order. At 4:30, we had a work session with Ken Wilson from Coastal Protection Engineering discussing beach management plan concepts and strategies and 5-year beach monitoring report. At this time, I'm going to call on Mr. Jim Davis from Bridge Church to lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for who you are, all that you provide, and your goodness towards us. Father, we thank you for wisdom that you have promised to give to each of us that ask. And I pray that for those who are charged with making important decisions tonight for our community. Father, I ask for discernment to see issues clearly and for courage and integrity to do what's right as servants of our county. We pray the discussion will be open, civil, and measured, and that the deliberations will be thoughtful and guided by what serves the common good. Father, we pray for your hand on the growth and success of all Currituck County, and may we be good stewards of our citizens' safety, well-being, and futures. And as we approach Memorial Day weekend, we honor the memory of those fallen, and we pray that we build the kind of community worth defending. We ask this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Davis. From Bridge Church, Mr. Davis. All right, this time we'll have our attorney read our ethics, awareness, and conflicts of interest reminder.
Pursuant to GS 153A-44, a commissioner has a duty to vote on matters coming before the board, but may be excused from voting on issues involving the commissioner's own financial interest, official conduct, or on matters on which the commissioner is prohibited from voting under GS 14-234 or 160D-109. In accordance with Chapter 2, Division 3 of the Currituck County Code of Ordinances, it is the duty of every commissioner to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any commissioner have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the Board of Commissioners in this meeting? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict.
Hearing none. Next item is approval of agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment to the agenda. I would move to pull budget amendment number 2025121 from the consent agenda and add additional closed session discussion pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3 to consult with the county attorney and to preserve the attorney-client privilege in the matter entitled Judith M. Ayers versus Currituck County Department of Social Services.
Have a motion for approval, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is public comment. First item of the agenda is you have 3 minutes to speak. We ask that you give your name and your address for the record. And at this time, I'm going to call Mr. Brian Mead and ask you to, again, give your name and address for the record.
My name is Brian Mead, 116 North Marshall Road. I am up here again on behalf of the Currituck Fire and EMS Local 4633. I was a little disappointed. I reached out to you guys. I showed up at a meeting and asked for you guys to contact me, to talk with me, to kind of, start working this problem together. And I didn't hear back from anybody. I contacted Commissioner McCord multiple times. I didn't hear anything back. It was a little concerning at the work session for the FIAB to hear some of you say, why don't we do this like we did 20 years ago? We can't do it like we did 20 years ago. The call volume's up. The population is up. In 20 years, we haven't added an ambulance to the mainland. There's 5. The only thing we've done is add a fire station at the request of Station 5 to cover Water Lily Road. So as we grow, we can't do it like we did 20 years ago. Some recent information and studies have come out that adding career staff to volunteer companies has actually increased volunteer numbers. Edgecombe County for one of them. Locally, Chief Shortway. His volunteer numbers have increased since the career staff has been out there. So the idea of going backwards to facilitate this issue is not going to work. With that being said, and I understand the pay study's been done and there's a draft that was sent out, but if we want to recruit and retain these individuals, we have to be more competitive. Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Newport News, all of these larger departments are feeling the same stress that we are. Virginia Beach went from a 5,000 person process to the point now where they're asking for other people to come in and work as a lateral transfer. It has gotten that bad in fire and EMS. We are not immune. And if we delay or not put the right steps in motion, that's when things get bad. Our members are getting stressed because they're having to drive 30 minutes to a call. When Medic 3 and Medic 4 go out simultaneously, which happens on a regular basis, Medic 2 from Water Lily is having to go to Northwest Backwoods Road. The average response time between every station in the county is about 15 minutes. So if you're leaving from Water Lily Road trying to get to anywhere close to the border, you're talking about 30 minutes of drive time. That's lights and sirens on a nice traffic day. Not a Friday, not a Saturday, anything like that. So I implore you, please take this seriously. Please let me help you. That's what I want to do. I don't want to discredit our volunteers. I started out as a volunteer in this community. I want to help our volunteers succeed. That's what I'm here for. So please reach out to me, talk to me, bring me in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Also, in that work session, we said that we, as a Board of Commissioners, were going to get together and discuss the Fire and EMS Advisory Board, and then we would move forward from there. You're jumped ahead of us. We're not there yet, but that is on our agenda to have that discussion and figure out the makeup of the Fire and EMS Board. And once we have done that and decided the path that we're going to go down, we're certainly going to have people come in and help us make those decisions and things that we need to do. So at that point in time, you'll certainly be a part of the conversation, but we're not there yet. But we're getting there.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Mark Luzine. Lusinger, I'm sorry.
There you go.
I left off.
It's Paul, right?
Yes, sir. Oh, you did better than I did.
Mark Lusinger, 118 Aviator, Maple, North Carolina, Currituck County. I dropped off a handout on each of your desks so you can look at this in your leisure, and since I only have 3 minutes to talk about this. Basically, we live adjacent to Currituck County Airport, and our whole neighborhood is flooded with lights off the new county maintenance buildings. It has 16 high-intensity lights that are just really bright. I looked at the other county buildings. They typically have one light on the outside, maybe a light over the door, and some street lights. This one has 16 lights. The airport, which is adjacent to it, has, 5, 6 street lights, and there's also floodlights on the new fuel farm, which is right outside. In addition to all the complaints I've gotten from the neighbors, I've got a petition which I've given you a copy of. Virtually the whole neighborhood has said, this is a public nuisance, we need to get this fixed. This is my 3rd appearance here to try to resolve that. Among other things, it's a violation of the UDO, which I've given you a summary copy of, in about a half a dozen different areas. We're only concerned about the lights facing the runway. So there's 16 lights on the building, 8 of them face the runway. One solution is to put the lights on the runway side on a motion detector. You can leave the other ones on, which is where the main entrance is, away from the runway. Don't care about those. The other solution would be take out 6 bulbs. So that leaves you 1 light on each side facing the runway and 10 lights on the other 2 sides, which should lights that place up with like a Christmas tree. typically there's nobody out there at night at all, so you're lighting up darkness for the deer or something to wander around through there. And I guess that's basically it. If you can take a look at the handout I gave you, it explains everything. And I'd really like to get this resolved. This has been going on for 2 years now. Like I said, this is my third appearance in front of the commissioners. I'd like to thank Paul O'Neill and Ms. Jarvis for getting back to me. Nobody else was very responsive, so appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Evidently, it's been going on since before I got on the board, and I've been told that it's been resolved. Does anybody want to comment on the allegations of the UDO, or is that something we can discuss later?
I thought we put, Mr. County Mayor, I thought we had put some kind of timer on some of it.
No, there's no timer on the lights.
I've been out there and gotten fuel at nighttime. I mean, not to discredit what Mark just said. And I have talked to him, not recently, but we've talked multiple times about other stuff. But, and I mean, I don't live in his home, but I mean, it is bright, but. I mean-
It's not in violation of the Unified Development Ordinance.
That's what I was curious if it was.
I guess we'll have offline conversations about this again later. Mr. Leesinger, thanks for coming. Next, we have David Baldwin.
Been a long time, huh?
Yeah. Give us your name and address, sir.
David Baldwin, 4987 Currituck Highway. Also, I reside in 110 Hickory Drive in Moyock, but mainly I live down at my shop. Most of you I know. I'm here for the VSO officer. We do understand that he had some family problems and he has left Currituck County. I guess my concern is it took 5 years for that to happen to get one here, and I applaud Currituck County for stepping up and having a VSO officer in this county. I've been fighting it for 10 years. I just didn't come here a lot. And this time I am now the district commander of the American Legion in this area. I'm still the commander of the American Legion here in Coinjock. We do part of the job at our post, but the job that needs to be done has to be a Veterans Affairs officer. And I have one here that came to us of his resume. I asked him to send it to you, but I brought a copy of it. Just a few things to list. He's not gone to school. That's the worst kicker, because it takes 3 months to go to school and then be able to do anything as a VSO officer, really. And this is my concern. I have a lot of veterans that I talk to, and I'm not saying this is as a joke. I have probably 25 to 30 veterans that I have helped and I work with. I have a gentleman right now that Robert was working with, and he's home with his shades down and his lights off because he's scared to come out. And now I don't know what to do with him. I don't have any place for him to go besides another county. And I know we can't do this job any quicker. You have to hire somebody, but I'm trying to see if we can't get this moved along as fast as possible to get these veterans taken care of. There is still a lot of veterans in Currituck County that need help.
This is something that I also feel passionate about, and I have constantly checked with the county manager, and we are in the mode of hiring. I believe the applications are coming in, and it is my hope. I was also heartbroken after the work that we had put in with Camden County to make this happen. But it is my hope that we will. We are not going to let the ball drop. I promise you. If you don't know me, I'm not going to let the ball drop. It's going to be filled, and we are going to get back on track with our Veteran Service Officer. I promise you that.
Mr. Chairman.
If you have a resume, if you will hand that to our county manager, she can add it to the,
Send one, and I also have his DD 214. He's a 20-year veteran, and has a lot of
he would still
qualifications.
have to go through the application process and fill out the application.
Send it to you.
Okay.
You see, he did send it in already. He just sent it the other day. I would say last week. We got together at the post. We had a family day this weekend, and we tried to get all the veterans in together and move forward.
Mr. Chairman, if I may say
Yes, sir.
something. They do, when Rob was here, Rob did an excellent job through the sheriff's office. He was a good resource where he would help us, we would help him. And like you said, under the circumstances, I mean, it was sad for
Yes.
everybody. But like you said, hopefully you guys, they do a lot. And I know you do as well, because you've called me plenty of times and we've talked.
Thank you.
Which is good. I'm not complaining. But like I said, I hated that he left. I mean, like I said, but
Well,
he's
his
done a lot of-
departure was sudden and unexpected,
Yeah.
so
We had some good talks
Our,
about it, and I'm not complaining about any of it, except my concern is it took me 15 years to get where I'm at. I don't
Well-
want to see other veterans do this.
well, we have the position.
Now we just got to fill it.
She's going to fill that position pretty quickly.
And you. That's all I
Yes,
got.
sir. Thank you,
Y'all have a
Mr.
great night.
Baldwin. Have a good
Going
evening.
to dinner now. Thank you.
There you go. I don't blame you.
Okay, next we're moving to, close the public comment. We're going to move into our administrative reports. Currituck Family YMCA report, DJ Kopese, Executive Director. He's just got blockbuster news tonight.
The Blockbuster's back in business?
Yeah.
There's one. There's
And
still
so I
one.
did provide all the commissioners with their 2024 impact numbers, and I do have copies up here for anybody in the public that would like them as well. So I come tonight to share this will be my final update to the County Commissioner Board as the Executive Director of the Currituck YMCA. I've been recently promoted, and I'll be leading the YMCA's on Greenbrier Parkway. My last day here as the Executive Director will be June the 6th. So a little somber, but I am excited for the opportunity to be able to stay in this area and call this area Northeast North Carolina home, which has always been the goal for me and my wife and children. So with that, I'll provide a brief update of the numbers. As always, I'll answer any questions that anybody up here has, as well as any of your constituents have sent through. 2024, another major year for the YMCA here in Currituck. $278,378 in direct financial assistance provided to this community. When I started in 2022, that number was just shy of $200,000. So we have increased substantially, and 23% of that number is for direct child care services, which is a heavy need in the county, and it will continue to be a need in the county. And the Y is working hard to address those needs with our school partners as well as other community partners. 1 in 3 of our members that walk through our door need some level of financial assistance, and you wouldn't know it. We treat everybody the same. We love everybody. We treat them with kindness. And we're just here to help and serve, and that was the mission of the Y. That's the mission of the commissioners that put us in that building so many years ago as well. 50,000 pounds of food distributed in 2024, and we're on pace to beat that again this year with our partnership with the Food Bank of the Albemarle, as well as Bridge Church, supporting with volunteers to distribute that food at our monthly mobile food pantry. Our free teen membership returns this summer once again. We're anticipating about 200 teens will receive those free memberships to enjoy the Y, again at no cost for anybody ages 13 to 17. As well as that, our board of volunteers, our board of managers has put in hours upon hours just to make sure that we look good out in the community and people view us as a positive light here in Currituck County. On the business side of things, this Y is doing very well. In 2022, we were estimated to lose $400,000, and we've slowly been able to chip that away. And now this will be the first year we'll be able to run a surplus, so the Y can pay for itself, pay for its bills, and continue to support the community as it needs. 74% of our members, we have the highest retention in all of the Southampton Roads locations. So that's 21 family centers, and we keep most of our members, and that's because we have the cleanest building, the friendliest staff, and overall just the best YMCA. The investment that the commissioners made so many years ago has really paid off, and the people love this YMCA. I often compare, people love Ys, but people are in love with this Y and in love with this community, and it shows in every interaction. And I just wanted to say, in closing, thank you to this board. You have always been partners with our mission, always been great partners with me, you always answer my calls. The county staff, Rebecca, Jason, Layton, Stacy, Cameron, everybody has always been great to the Y and always puts their best foot forward to make sure that we can serve this community. This governing body and all the volunteers, Paul, Selena, everybody here has always been great. Owen always answers the call and always shares some fun stories as well. But we can talk about that another time. With that, I know you all have a full agenda, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I want to say a couple of things. Number one, I'm on, just for full disclosure, I'm on the Southampton Roads YMCA board, which is the corporate board that oversees Southern Virginia, Northeastern North Carolina. And when DJ was hired, he and I met before he was hired, and they asked would I be the chairman of the local board to help DJ learn the lay of the land and so forth. But I have to tell you, he left me in the dust after about 30 days. He got it up and running. And when he talks about that the Y used to be $400,000 deficit, what he means is Southampton Roads takes the money it collects from the Ys and then we distribute it to keep the Ys running. So that pot of money was being used to help with this Y. Now this Y has become self-sufficient to where it does not have to depend on corporate proceeds to keep this Y up and running. And when he talks about $278,378 worth of membership programs, the YMCA does not turn people away because you can't pay the full price. If you have a financial hardship or whatever, they will give you a discounted rate. There is no reason that anybody can't be a member of the Y. And then lastly, that YMCA has saved Currituck County millions and millions of dollars. I was on the board when the board was looking at building a recreation department in Currituck County. Our building was going to be $24 million, 22 or 24 million. Mr. Etheridge was on the board just for a recreation department. And I spoke with somebody at the YMCA and they said, no, you don't need to do that. Let us come in and help you with that. And they helped us to build a building that met the core needs of what the community would participate in. We were going to put stuff in there like bow and arrow place and all these places that would never got used, but everybody said they wanted it. And they said, nope, it'll be good for a month and then you'll have vacant space you can't do anything with. So for $13 million, Currituck County built that YMCA and the senior center right next to each other, which gave the seniors the opportunity for the exercise and everything that they needed to do. And then on top of that, we would have spent $1 to $2 million a year operating the YMCA out of taxpayer money or membership fees, but we don't have to do that. They take care of it and operate it. And I also hear people say, why don't we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool? We were going to build an Olympic-sized swimming pool, which would have never been used because for a swim team or that type of pool, it has to be kept at a lower temperature that seniors would never use, and it would all be deep in. Children, elderly, nobody would have used that swimming pool. It would have only been used on occasion. And that's why that swimming pool is like it is, because it is now being used versus if we'd have done the big swimming pool everybody thought we should do. So my hat's off to DJ. I wish him the best. He's done one outstanding job as a director here. The numbers, when I was that chairman, we had a goal. I think we had like 1,100.
When we first came on board, we had 1,124 membership units.
And what was the goal, I said?
It was 1,505.
And what is it today?
1,791.
Done a great job. And that's all I have to say. If anybody wishes to say anything
I'll just say,
else.
DJ, thank you for being a fixture in this community and all that you've done. For those who don't know, DJ sits on the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council as well as our opioid advisory board. So he doesn't just stay in the four walls there, or how many ever walls there are at the YMCA. And we appreciate the food bank and all that you do to make the quality of life here in Currituck County fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
DJ, I'd like to say too, he helps out, I mean, in any way, shape, or form. I know with the Christmas parade, We had some stuff where obviously the county's Christmas parade is not that big, where we had some people that wanted the quiet zone, which obviously when our parade's super small, we couldn't have. So, I mean, there was kids that attended it where he opened up the Y, they could come in, still participate, and the guy's everywhere. Good job. You'll be missed.
And let me just add one last thing. DJ didn't mention it, but he also is the president, or your chair, I guess, the chair of the Currituck Kids that's been formed. I've been on that board since 2009, and DJ stepped up when we needed to fill a vacancy there with the chairman of the board of Currituck Kids in the county. So he'll be, we're looking for a replacement for that now. But he did a great job for Currituck Kids, and I know the board appreciates the service that you did there as well. So you've had your hands in a lot of different areas. I don't know how you had time for your family, but you managed to do it all. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, something, Commissioner?
Real quick, you mentioned the swimming pool. An Olympic-sized swimming pool was $3 million more on the cost of that building. But DJ, remember one thing, you can always come back home.
That's true. I say my office will be in Greenbrier, but my heart is here in Currituck, so.
You'll always be welcome to buy me lunch, so come on back anytime.
Very good. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, next we have a presentation from the WEVS School in Corolla.
There's a hard act to follow.
Yeah, you can do it.
Also known as WAVES, Water's Edge Village School.
I was going to say waves,
It's
but
so
I figured
cool,
I better
isn't
be
it? You
proper.
gotta make it waves
Yeah.
because we're at the beach. Thanks for having us. I'm Megan Agresto. I am the board president of the Water's Edge Village School. I am joined here by 4 members of the Corolla Education Foundation, the board that runs the free public charter school, K-8 charter school in Corolla. Thank you for having us here today. We wanted to welcome those of you who are new, who we haven't met in this room before, and welcome back the ones we knew anyway. And just give you an opportunity to get to understand what's going on with our public school in Corolla, because of course it's run by a private nonprofit board as a North Carolina school of choice. I moved to the Outer Banks in 2005 with a not even 1-year-old, proceeded to have another kid, and quickly understood that what people in Corolla do is move when their first kid turns 5. I wasn't planning on moving. I did not want to move. We were looking for my 5-year-old at a 5 to 5.5 hour journey over to the mainland for a 5:30 a.m. bus pickup, pick everybody else up on the way over here, and take the bus back. It sounded like that wasn't going to be a great idea. Ended up getting our per student allotment to go to Dare County, so my older kids spent 3 years at Kitty Hawk. Thanks in part actually to Currituck agreeing to send the per student allotment to Dare County, and then I made up the difference, which is a system that still works, as y'all know, in other counties when kids go to other counties. But that involved me driving to Dare County and back to Dare County, which made staying employed hard, which is why a lot of families end up just driving over the line or getting a new job when their kids grew older, which was certainly a loss of parents to other counties and other jobs. Even today, our school is predominantly made of working class families. Just to start you from the beginning, in 2012, we were granted the charter. We were lucky enough to be able to lease the historic Corolla Schoolhouse, built in the 1890s, really for life-saving and lighthouse keepers' children. Was a school up until the 1950s, a Currituck public school. Ray Adams was of the Whalehead Club, was working with Currituck County right before he died to bring kids over on a boat to go back and forth and close that down. He dies of a heart attack, I'm sure you know this, on New Year's Eve. And then there's no big money to get Corolla kids anywhere, so the school just gets shut down and Corolla essentially becomes kind of a ghost town for a good number of decades. There are still people, but eventually there's Corolla kids parents are allowed to get paid and drive kids over to Currituck. Then people say, oh no, that shouldn't be. Currituck should pay for a bus. At which point the Corolla kids are, well, after they were in Manio, spending a lot of time on the bus. We opened in September of 2012 with 16 students, K-6. We just opened with 2 teachers. We scaffolded grades and did mixed classrooms because I don't know if most of y'all have been in that schoolhouse, but it's only 2 rooms. Our working board covered all of the administrative functions, which allowed us to save a lot of money as we progressed through this story. And we used the help of a lot of community volunteers. We've now been in school for, as you know, mathematically more than a decade with steady annual growth. Charter schools have a cap on it, or had a cap on 20% growth, which means if you're only 15 when you start, you're not growing very quickly. By 2016-2017 school year, we decided to go K-8, and the chapel in Corolla offered the fellowship hall so that we could continue to accommodate the needs in Corolla. This year, the 2024-2025 school year, we have 50 kids. We're at our max capacity. We have a full-time administrator, teacher, 4 teachers, aide, and of course, occupational therapy, physical therapy, school psychologist, evaluation for special ed. In our coming school year, we're growing up to 60 students, and we're allowed to do that because we've worked in the past 3 years on this capital campaign, a $2.4 million capital campaign, and our building right next to the old schoolhouse, so that on the front of that block, our kids aren't having to walk down a road in order to stay on what we call our campus. We continue with a 12-to-1 student-teacher ratio. Stepping back a little bit, 2025 marks 29 years since the first charter school in North Carolina. North Carolina charter schools are public school eligible, which means that any student can apply, any North Carolina school-age student can apply to come to our school. We do a lottery. We draw K-1 students first to fill our K-1 classroom. But we do a lottery, which is a non-discrimination lottery, meaning when people enter our lottery, we just have to prove they're North Carolina students of school age and what school year they're currently finishing, so we can plan accordingly. Particularly in recent years, student population has been predominantly Corolla and Corova, or hardtop and four-wheel drive students. We don't restrict admission only to Currituck residents, but based on who we are and where we are, that tends to be how it works. We cannot charge tuition. We're not religiously affiliated. The fact that we were allowed to be in the chapel's fellowship hall is because there's no religious iconography on that side of it. People ask us that sometimes. And we're supervised by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. Not dissimilar to the traditional public school. We still follow state standards, but we are allowed some flexibility in terms that we are hands-on. When we applied for the charter, we were actually granted an exemption. Well, we had actually spoken to Currituck to be like, hey, y'all, what about opening sort of a substation school to Jarvisburg? Send us 2 teachers. We'll use the Jarvisburg public principal, and then we got it taken care of. And the superintendent at the time said, we want 70 kids or we're not doing it. But of course, without a school, Corolla was never going to have 70 kids. And so that was a little bit of a no can do, essentially. So we did apply for this, what they call a geographic isolation exemption from what charter schools need, a 65 minimum. I don't think they thought we were going to make it with 15 kids, mind you, but we have, and we're now fast approaching the 60 kids that our superintendent in 2011 wanted us to show them we could get, or 70, I can't remember what number he wanted, but we're on our way. We have a project-based learning format, which means that we often are able to let kids explore somehow in a bigger project with things that they find compelling to them. It's often an overlap of science and math or music. I don't imagine you all are unfamiliar with project-based learning, but we set some quarterly themes or a year or an overarching year-round theme and go from there. I guess the solar system drawn on a sidewalk today was in proper ratio, so the sun was down by the chapel today, just putting measurement and art together. A lot of hands-on work. We have a focus on developing community-minded citizens with critical thinking skills. We have a small student-teacher ratio. We try to get kids off the beach on overnight field trips and have a strong partnership with parents, many of whom serve on our school improvement team, and still many community volunteers assist with athletics, art, or ukulele. You don't graduate from Waves without being able to play the ukulele. I'm sure y'all want to come and hear more about that. I'm going to turn it over to Brian Daggett, who is our long-term treasurer. He's going to talk about student performance.
So Megan has a meniscus tear on her knee, so that's why she's going to take a moment to go to the side. Didn't want her standing up too much. Yes, I'm the vice president and the treasurer at Waterford Village School Trial Education Foundation. Give you a little bit about our student performance, because that's also obviously very important. The state has a system of report cards. Our last one we got was a B, but we haven't had one in many years because we're too small. They put in rules around if you're smaller than 30 students taking the end of grade exams, you don't get an official report card. But one of the ways you can gauge how well you're doing is proficiency exams in math and reading at the end of each year for grades 3 through 8th. Our numbers are pretty good. We're 78% proficiency in both math and reading, where the North Carolina averages are 54% in math and just 50% in reading. Where do we get our monies from? Because that becomes an important thing for the counties as well. So just to give you a picture there on the side, that shows that the majority of our funds come from the state. Then we have money coming from the counties. Currituck County, of course, gives us money on a per student basis. For the 23-24 year, was about $100,000. The other monies that we get some federal funds. We also have donations. And also, of course, we have students from Dare County. You'll recognize there is a difference in what the counties provide as far as per student allocations. So sometimes in the past, we have had 10 to 12 Dare County students that actually helped our budget along. Right about now, this coming year, I think we're anticipating 10 students from Dare County and 50 from Currituck County. The WAVES funding, that should say for the 25-26 school year, and that's the next line, the WAVES funding from Currituck is anticipated to be $160,000 in 25-26. In 24-25, it was about $120,000. You do have other schools that you guys provide funds toward. That's not just us. We want to make sure you have an understanding that we're a portion of that, not the whole thing. The other revenue sources, we do have some federal grants, some rural opportunities because we are so small and isolated to help get some of the monies. We also have charitable donations, which not only helps in our operations of the school, but as you'll get to in a moment, why it's helped us also in the building of the new school. The other key point to think about from a county is because we have that school there, you're not having to run a bus from the students that are living in Corolla and Corova to try to get them over to the mainland schools.
Didn't we? I thought we did.
We used to.
We used to do
You
it.
used to
Yeah,
have a
we
bus.
used to. Yeah, we
You
stopped.
used to have a bus.
Used to it, okay.
Yep. Just to give you a little bit of the story of our, what we call the long and winding road toward this new school building, it's been a long journey. So if you think about growing over that time, trying to use, as Megan mentioned, we have board members that are acting as providing a lot of administrative services and functions, volunteering, which lets a small school still operate and have the teachers be able to have lunch. So you needed a lot of that kind of community support to happen. That allowed us to run with a surplus and also to go out and get donations from the community that allowed us to build that surplus over time. Then we worked with the Twitty family to get the lot next door to the historic schoolhouse to be donated to the school. Then we needed some covenant changes to be able to build a school building on that lot because the homeowners association covenants wouldn't have allowed that. We had to deal with things like the parking requirements and how do you do that on a very small lot when some of the rules are obviously built for bigger schools as to the number of parking spaces you need to have. We selected a builder and had a groundbreaking ceremony back in 2023. We had some issues and challenges there, so we reselected a builder in 2024. As you can see by the picture there, construction is nearly finished. We anticipate it finishing up hopefully by mid to late June. Obviously, we plan on operating with the new schoolhouse and also, and the students in the fall of 2026, excuse me, the fall of 2025. To let you know how we got there, just a little bit around our capital campaign. We had to raise a lot of money. We did have a few big donors, but we also had over 700 donors that gave at least $100. We had a lot of the community involvement. We would run a campaign we called Hang 10 for 10, which a restaurant would volunteer to give 10% of their revenues for that particular evening or for the whole day to the school as a donation. We would do a lot of the marketing and promotion of that activity. So it was helping both the restaurant get familiar to the population, and the school, of course, benefited from it as well. We had cash boxes around town where people could, a lot of the tourist money would donate it in there. We had QR codes so people could find a way to give money to us, and had a very active capital campaign that's really lasted about 4 years. And thankfully, we're closing the capital campaign now as we have the funds to complete the building and the architectural work and that sort of thing. We're not completely out of the woods because we do need money for some additional technologies. As you grow more students, you need more furnishings, more lab materials, and more equipment. There was a law change in 2022 that allowed for counties to contribute toward capital monies towards schools. There was a request for that in a previous year. I don't think it ever got addressed by the Board of Commissioners. That's just the way things happened. And just a quick recap we'd like to give. It's a lot of the folks, the people in Corolla that are giving a lot of their time to make this go from dealing with a situation of a few parents experienced to one that allowed it to grow and have a lot more people, particularly people that work in service of the tourism industry, be able to still live and support their families in Corolla without having to move elsewhere. We have attracted faculty, which is extra challenging when you think about the housing situation in Corolla and Corova being rather expensive. So teachers' salaries, even though we do pay above the state norms and standards, it's still a challenge to be able to attract people to Corolla with a housing situation. It's been a rigorous, high-quality education. The students have done very well in academic performance, but also their level of maturity they develop, the opportunities for some of the older students to then have to teach and mentor younger students as part of this multi-grade engagement ends up with students that are more mature in many ways than you would typically expect out of an eighth grader when they graduate from our little school. It's been a big challenge to finance the school, but as I said, we're doing it debt-free. We certainly would appreciate the fact that you've taken a little time to get to know us a little better through this time you've dedicated toward us today. And we would also appreciate any funding support you're able to provide us anytime in the future, including near term. Any questions you might have for Megan and I?
Any questions?
No, I was over there last week on Thursday. We with the Chief Shortway, where they helped on a grant through NCDOT. It's a great facility. The new building's really nice. A.R. Cheston's done a good job on it. I know y'all are close and excited
We are.
for it to open. And like I said, the kids were super respectful. It's a good thing.
Glad you were able to witness that firsthand. Anyone else?
Payment.
Yeah, just a question. I know if and when, or if it ever does ever happen, who knows, whenever, but if that bridge ever goes in, do you see that as an impact that could take students away from you then and don't want to go to the public schools for sports and stuff? Or
Actually, we have talked about it, thought about it a long time.
Okay.
The bridge does goes both ways.
Yes, it does.
Right? So there's also an opportunity for families to take advantage of a different kind of school place with a different curriculum, and also the student-teacher ratio advantage that we can hold makes it a right place for many students otherwise. So we do think it might have some impacts, very hard to predict.
Right.
And,
And if the bridge ever gets built anyways.
Well, that's another
it,
great
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
We talked and waited for years trying to decide, do we really want to do this versus just using the space in the chapel? The chapel helped us along with that decision, going, you promised, 3 or 4 years, and it had been like 7 or 8. And so we decided it really was time, even if the bridge does develop.
Right, okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Just real quick, I've been over there a few times. It's fantastic what you guys are doing. I think the service that you're offering to the kids over there is something that needs to be commended.
Thank you very much.
And
I too have visited the school, and I am a former teacher. And I think what you've done to save the children, young children especially, the drive. I'm from Knott's Island, so I did have a long trek over here when I was a student in high school. And I commend you all. You're probably my favorite charter school in North Carolina. I know you are.
Thank you very much.
anyone else? I just say you guys done a wonderful job, and it's an asset to the community. It's beyond just what you do for the children. Those children are going to become adults and part of that community, or they may go somewhere else. And I look at your proficiency scores, they're really great. So I commend everything that you're doing over there. And I know it's been a long time. I've been around a while, so I remember when you first started with the old schoolhouse, and y'all have done a real good job.
Just for information, we're going to continue to use the historic schoolhouse and have our kindergarten through second graders in there.
Okay.
It's part of a school campus and let them still feel that special smallness. And it's one of the things that makes us so unique.
I also want to recognize the Twitties for what they've done for the Corolla Village, and the fact that they would donate a lot, and the things that they've done for the school, for the Corolla Wild Horse Fund, for just all they've done in the village of Corolla to help restore it. I just want to give them a little bit of recognition as
I pass
well.
that along as well.
Yes, please do.
Well,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Right.
All right, next item is old business, PB 2427, The Meadows, South Spot LLC is requesting a preliminary plat special use permit for a 56-lot conservation subdivision located in Powell's Point on the north side of South Spot Road, tax map 124, parcels 28, 36A, 36B, and 37 in Poplar Branch Township. We did close the public hearing at the last meeting, so there'll be no more comment or discussion other than amongst the commissioners, and if the commissioners have questions of the applicant, and we will proceed.
Yes, that's correct.
I have a question for Jenny Turner.
Okay? Ms. Turner?
Jenny, Chairman O'Neill has posed a question to, I believe it was the attorney, about a vegetative buffer. Is there a vegetative buffer required for South Spot Road? And he also inquired about an undisturbed vegetative buffer. What type of buffer is required between the subdivision and South Spot Road is my question.
Okay, let me get to that section of the ordinance
Okay,
so I
I'm
can read
sorry.
it
I should have
correctly.
probably given you a heads up. I apologize.
Okay.
No, she'll find it.
So this is in the conservation subdivision standards. Screening from major arterials and collector streets, conservation subdivisions shall incorporate a 25-foot vegetative buffer comprised of new or existing trees and shrubs in a manner that provides an opaque screen of the development to a height of 10 feet or more as seen from major arterial streets within 1,000 feet of the development. Conservation subdivisions located along collector streets, which South Spot Road would be one of those, shall incorporate a 25-foot vegetative buffer between the collector street right-of-way and the boundary of the individual platted lots, comprised of 6 aggregate caliper inches of canopy trees, 3 aggregate caliper inches of understory trees, and 5 shrubs per 100 linear feet.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
So my question is, if a requirement is to leave the undisturbed vegetative buffer, that would meet the requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance, correct?
That would be one way to meet the
Along
ordinance.
Spot Road.
That would be one way to meet the ordinance, but undisturbed is not required.
Mr. Chairman, so like you said, if there's a portion of it, obviously they would be required to fill in the bare spots.
Correct.
So for instance, we wouldn't take out a tree that's 30 foot tall.
Correct. You wouldn't take stuff out, but you could fill in.
Okay.
Are you good with that?
Yeah, as long as it's undisturbed buffer and it, they don't just go in and thin it out to where it's not undisturbed.
Okay, well, and I guess would we, are you asking to make that a condition?
She said that you can make that a condition of approval. it would meet the UDO requirements.
On the approval, yes.
And I will put that as, and, okay. Keep the undisturbed buffer along South Spot Road, is that how you want it phrased?
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Nunes.
We had a condition a few years back, probably about 8, 10 years ago, about an undisturbed buffer being placed, and that word undisturbed led to a
remember
dispute
that.
between owners.
Right.
If somebody went there and broke a twig, they disturbed it. And it got to a point that staff couldn't control what was going on. It got to the point if a tree fell, the guy could only cut what was on his property, and I had to leave the other thing. And anytime he walked in that place, he disturbed it. So
I remember that.
That was-
How about we use the word existing vegetative buffer?
It might be better
Would
than
that be better?
undisturbed.
You had a couple neighbors going at each other and that, it was not the same situation we're looking at here, but existing is fine.
Okay,
Fight Club.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more discussion.
Yeah, if
So we're
anyone
going
have
with-
questions of the applicant, if the applicant would come forward to answer any questions that anyone may have?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask, so the terminology she said would be existing, not undisturbed, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Does anyone else have any other questions of the applicant? Okay, then,
Well, I mean, I guess that's some clarification. And maybe the applicant can clarify this. And I do know we had a similar situation like this a few years back up in Moyac where same type of development and, the developer, did what they were supposed to do and kept the water retained on their property, which is perfect. But the downstream canals where drainage was the major issue. And because those were issues all the way out to the drainage point, it caused those adjoining lands to flood. And again, it's a similar situation to this. That's why I'm just be curious to hear about the how that's going to be addressed or guaranteed of the drainage that it doesn't spill over like we did in Moyac, because that was a nightmare.
I'm happy to answer that, Commissioner Payment. We submitted a draft list of conditions to staff and had some back and forth in terms of enforceability and language. I believe those have been distributed, but one of those included an obligation to clean out Tigmatar Ditch and the entirety of the drainage area between the subject property and the Point Golf Course prior to putting the first phase of subdivision to record. And that obligation, as we discussed at the hearing, would be subject to getting the permission from the property owners that are own the underlying land. We already have had those discussions. They've begun. We don't have the documented agreements in place, but they understand that that would come next should this be approved. And so that is a commitment that we were willing to offer and stand by. And then in addition to cleaning out the ditch, we would also study the Tigmatar Ditch and the entirety of its drainage area from its origin north of Freedom Business Park. And that was the issue that was brought up by several of the neighbors to a point south of the Point Golf Course, and will be modeled in the EPA SWMM for the pre-construction and post-construction conditions. And then that modeling, the findings of the modeling would be documented in a report and made available to the county. And the purpose of that would be, so we're cleaning the off-site ditch with the permission of these owners. We're also modeling the larger area. And as one of the neighbors pointed out, there's kind of a larger problem that our property isn't causing, but is kind of one of many properties that's experiencing this. And so by providing that report, we're kind of doing the work to show what else could be done as each of those individual owners that control their land would be able to become another part of the solution. So we'd be providing the solution on our site, and then a kind of a model for how other property owners could participate and become part of the solution. And then in addition to that, we would have the county 10-year storm peak flow reduction requirements, and would design and install an on-site stormwater system to maintain the post-construction peak flow from the site at or below the pre-construction to the 100-year storm. So 3 measures of trying to take into account the concerns we heard at the hearing and be able to provide both on-site stormwater maintenance to a higher level, the off-site drainage ditch clearing, and then the larger modeling being made available for others to participate. Does that help answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. And then I think there was another question about the buffer.
Yes.
The existing buffer is preferred language because there is some issue there. There is a berm that's in that area, and so I'd like Mark Bissell to maybe just address what is I don't think it's possible to do a 50-foot throughout the entire way if you look at how the plan is addressed, but could address.
I think the issue is being able to see it from Spot Road. That as long as you've got it where it's not seen from Spot Road with the existing buffer and then whatever you would have to add to it to make that work, I think that's where we're going with that.
I think in portions it's a berm to prevent visibility.
Some of it is.
And that was for a width of 25 feet or 50 feet?
Do what?
I think if the desire is that the buffer make it so that you can't see reduced visibility into the subdivision, we can do that with either a combination, I should say, of a 50-foot vegetated buffer of existing vegetation, or in areas where we can't meet the 50 feet, it would be with a berm. So you're still
25 foot, isn't that what you told me?
25 foot is what we would.
It's a 25-foot.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you said.
Of 10 feet or higher is what she said.
The main thing is, you know, a lot of times when somebody develops something, they'll go and clear cut it, and then it takes 30 years
Right.
for the buffer to get back. Even if you plant the Russian olives, it's 10 years. So the preference is to leave the existing trees and fill in where you need to.
Right.
So that there's a buffer right from the get-go, not 30 years from now.
Right, we can leave 25 feet of existing vegetation and then start the berm behind that.
Okay.
Of course, you know, there will have to be a break in it to make the roadway connection, the south.
We
Spot
understand
Road,
that.
But unless we address that in another way.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions? Do you have any more?
Well, if there's no more discussion, I am prepared to make a motion. But before I do that, I would like to make a statement. As I previously stated last month, I'm only consider the evidence, not my opinions or the opinions of others, despite the accusations that were leveled against me. And I will say the applicant and his team have proven the review standards. I especially want to commend Mr. Deal for his explanation to the layperson about stormwater and helping us arrive at the conditions that we had today. You did a fantastic job, and I appreciate that. I also want to commend the applicant who listened to the concerns of the citizens who showed up in force to voice their concerns and to agree to conditions to allay their concerns. Their voice matters, and I think that they are evident in the conditions that are agreed upon. And to the citizens of Spot Road, I do believe that your voice has been heard, and I commend you for coming out and speaking your piece. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve 2427 the Meadows preliminary plat special use permit because the applicant has demonstrated the proposed use meets the review standards of the UDO with the following conditions. 1, the developer will record a restrictive covenant to require curbside trash service prior to putting the first plat phase of the subdivision to record. 2, if allowed by NCDOT, vehicular access to South Spot Road would be restricted to emergency access only, one-way or similar design. If not allowed by NCDOT, Whistlewood Lane would terminate in a cul-de-sac or similar design. Lot lines may be adjusted to accommodate this as long as the total number of lots does not increase and the total amount of open space does not decrease. Number 3, the developer shall clean Tigmatar ditch between the subject property and the point course prior to the first plat phase of the subdivision to record. The obligation to clean out the ditch is subject to developer receiving rights to enter and access the necessary property owners, NCDOT, and other applicable jurisdictions. 4, Tigmatar Ditch and the entirety of the drainage area from its north origin of Freedom Business Park to a point south of the Point Golf Course will be modeled in EPA SWMM for the pre-construction and post-construction conditions. The finding of this modeling will be documented in a report that will be made available to Currituck County. 5, also with 4, in addition to the Currituck County 10-year storm peak flow reduction requirements, the developer will design and install an on-site storm management system that will also maintain post-construction peak flow from the site at or below the pre-construction peak flow from a 100-year rainfall event. 5, Phase 1 would contain no more than 35 lots, and the earliest lot of record will be recorded June 1st, 2026. Phase 2 would consist of no more than 21 lots, and the earliest lot of record would be recorded December 1st, 2026. 6, the applicant agrees to keep the existing vegetative buffer between the subdivision and South Spot Road where applicable. And the use will not endanger the public health or safety. With the agreed upon conditions, they will protect future flooding, limit traffic, and protect existing homeowners. 2, the use will not injure the value of adjoining or abutting lands and will be in harmony with the area in which it's located. It will not increase traffic on South Spot Road. It will help with storm water flow for all areas in the vicinity by clearing Tigmatar Ditch. 3, the use will be in conformity with the Imagine Currituck 2040 Vision Plan or other officially adopted plans. The area is classified as the G3 mixed-use centers and corridors with proposed densities well below the maximum and meets the Land Use Plan Goal 1.1, Infrastructure and County Service Policies 3.1, 3.5, and 4, and the Point Harbor Sub-Area Policy 6.1. 4, the use will not exceed the county's ability to provide adequate public school facilities. There is currently adequate capacity at Jarvisburg Elementary, Currituck Middle School, and both high schools. And that is my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. 10-minute recess. This time I'd like to call the meeting back to order. And our next agenda item is new business, presentation of the annual budget for fiscal year 25-26 by our county manager, Ms. Rebecca Gay.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Make this exciting.
Big exciting. Okay, I'll do
5 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I am pleased to submit Currituck County's fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. The proposed budget is prepared in accordance with the North Carolina Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. And I want to start by recognizing the commitment that you all made earlier this year, back in February, to a strategic planning process. There is a need for organizations to establish a strategic framework for success. And together, you developed a vision statement, a mission statement, and identified 4 core values. So a vision statement communicates what you want the community to look like in the future. And you all crafted a sustainable, economically diverse environment that preserves natural resources and strengthens livelihoods. A mission statement communicates the purpose of the local government to residents, employees, and other key stakeholders. And you all crafted the mission statement. Currituck County is committed to preserving our heritage and providing quality services while maintaining a safe, healthy, and thriving community for all. Core values are a set of organizational values that embody the spirit of service and represent our commitment as an organization to both our citizens and employees. Moving forward, you will identify strategic focus areas to guide the work of the county, and will then engage with citizens, employees, and other key stakeholders to develop strategies to achieve these goals in the community. The outcome of these efforts will become a strategic plan. The strategic plan will also be used to prioritize work and to manage financial resources during the budget process. So North Carolina local governments are bodies of the state. All of our authorities are prescribed by the North Carolina General Statute or General Assembly in the general statutes. There are services that we must provide. We are required by statute to provide each of the services that are on the screen. The proposed budget includes these services that the county must provide, as well as those services that the community values. Community values are expressed through your policies, goals, and investments. This budget is a financially sound proposal addressing the important needs in this community and within the county's governing organization. So as you review the narrative sections of this budget document, you will identify a theme, which is growth. The North Carolina State Demographer's Office most recent population estimate for Currituck County is 33,670. So from 2014 to 2024, the county's population has grown by 36.5%. We have welcomed approximately 9,000 new residents to the county in a 10-year period. Due to population growth and the absence of another local government to share in the provision of services, our exceptional team is often asked to do more with less. In consideration of this concept, we evaluated staffing levels of neighboring Dare and Pasquotank counties. Dare County has a permanent population of 37,786 and has 6 municipalities. Pasquotank County has a population of 40,933 and has 1 municipality. Approximately half of the residents of Pasquotank County live within that municipality, the city of Elizabeth City. This table provides staffing comparisons for 3 departments in common among Currituck, Dare, and Pasquotank counties, and illustrates 3 services in which we are doing more with less. For example, there is 1 Currituck County Social Services employee for every 750 residents, compared to 1 Pasquotank County Social Services employee for every 418 residents. Additionally, Currituck County Public Works maintains over 60 facilities throughout the county with 7 less staff members than Dare County. So I don't make these comparisons to say, woe is us, but rather, wow, look at us. The next slides recognize a few of the outstanding efforts of Currituck County employees in the current year. I'm excited for you to review the budget document, to learn of our team's many accomplishments in the current fiscal year, as well as plans for the upcoming year. It is a great honor to work alongside such a dedicated group of professionals. So this year we have assisted 120 veterans and or surviving spouses. We've answered 15,650 911 calls. Cooperative Extension has offered 571 educational classes. Our Parks and Recreation Department has served over 3,000 children in youth athletic programs. Permits and Inspections has issued 10,176 zoning, building, trade, and fire-related permits. And Senior Services, with the help of many volunteers, have served 11,750 home-delivered meals.
I'm glad Bobby got his meal.
All right.
I'm waiting for the, where's that, the Ricky Bobby, slide show where it says if you're not first, you're last, because I mean, she's already just shown.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the general fund. So the general fund is the principal operating fund. Major operating activities include general government, administration, public safety, education, human services, and other governmental service functions. Public safety and public education are critical functions of county government. Keeping residents safe, responding to emergencies, and providing our children with a sound education are of primary importance. Because of their importance and cost to maintain personnel, vehicles, and facilities, this budget proposes an allocation of 37% of general fund appropriations to departments associated with public safety. So these departments include the Sheriff's Office, Detention, Animal Services and Control, Emergency Management, Emergency Medical Services, Communications, Inspections, Volunteer Fire Departments, and the Medical Examiner. 20% of the general fund is appropriated to education. And 15% of general fund appropriations go to departments associated with general government functions. So this proposed budget includes an appropriation of $12,892,911 to general government operations. Public safety. This proposed budget continues the commitment to invest significant funding into vehicle replacement programs for the Sheriff's Office and Fire Emergency Medical Services. The budget allocates $693,000 for 10 patrol vehicles and $346,500 for 5 trucks for the Sheriff's Office, as well as $750,000 for 2 ambulances for Fire Emergency Medical Services. Reliable communication is essential to safe and efficient public safety response. The county's cache of portable handheld and vehicle mobile radios is reaching end of life. This proposed budget includes an appropriation of $600,000 for the replacement of a combination of 100 portable and mobile radios. Fiscal year 26 is identified as the second year in a 5-year commitment to this radio replacement program.
Wow.
Talk a little bit about education now. This proposed budget allocates $15,673,160 as local current expense funding, which is a 6.69% increase over the current year's funding for local current expense. Of the total appropriation, $132,306 is included for 6 months of utilities for Tulse Creek Elementary School, and $209,244 is included to fund an increase to teacher supplements. Over the last several fiscal years, the county has appropriated $1.4 million in capital outlay funding for Currituck County schools. During that time, the school system has applied $400,000 of that funding to technology. The fiscal year 25 budget included additional funding in the amount of $135,000 for technology, bringing the total appropriation to $1,535,000. The school's fiscal year 2026 request again includes $135,000 for technology, in addition to the $1.4 million annual appropriation. Funding in the amount of $350,000 is also included for the purchase and installation of bus radios, resulting in a capital outlay funding total appropriation of $1,885,000. 2 years ago, the board committed to funding improvements identified in the school system's 5-year capital improvement plan at an annual expense of approximately $3.6 million. This proposed budget allocates $2,230,000 from the School Capital Reserve Fund, as well as $670,000 to be appropriated in a transfer from school capital improvements, to make the total school capital construction appropriation of $2.9 million. It is also expected that the school system will apply for approximately $400,000 from state lottery funds and approximately $300,000 from the State Public Schools Repair and Renovation Fund. Construction began on Tulls Creek Elementary School in October 2024. Completion of the building is anticipated in early 2026, and the school is scheduled to open to students in August 2026. It is anticipated in fiscal year 27 that operational expense for Tulls Creek Elementary School will require an additional $1.8 million in annual funding. For some time, Currituck County and the Regional Community College of the Albemarle, have partnered to ensure county citizens have access to quality educational opportunities from trades to general college level courses. The partnership resulted in the establishment of the COA Currituck campus, providing aviation systems technology, computer-aided drafting technology, and computer-integrated machining programs. At the county's Public Safety Center, COA Currituck offers basic law enforcement training, nursing aid, and general education programs. Continuing this partnership, this proposed budget allocates $289,765 to the College of the Albemarle. This proposed budget also includes capital outlay funding in the amount of $100,000 for buildings and grounds improvements at COA Currituck. Okay, so we're going to transition a little bit and talk about Team Currituck. Take a sip of water. Okay. In preparing for last year's budget, a focus on employment trends prompted a progressive approach to a cost of living adjustment. In addition to implementation of the cost of living adjustment, the board approved the recommendation to conduct a salary study. A comprehensive salary study was conducted with the assistance of a consultant with extensive experience in local government. The consultant recommended revisions to the pay plan that reduces the number of grades in the plan and expands each pay grade range to 50%. An additional recommendation is to increase the percentage difference between pay grades to eliminate compression. The proposed pay plan provides greater flexibility in salary determinations and better supports employee development, progression, and long-term retention strategies. This proposed budget includes the recommendations of the pay study. We are utilizing a conservative approach to implementation of the recommendations due to cost. Increases will be made incrementally over the next 3 fiscal years. Implementation costs for fiscal year 26 across all funds is $1,765,077. Cost in the general fund is $1,168,219. Implementation costs for fiscal year 27 across all funds is estimated at $1,029. And in the general fund alone is estimated at $714,000. This proposed budget also includes a recommendation to cap the county's 401k contribution at 5%. There are no new positions proposed in the general fund this year. In addition to the reclassifications that are in front of you, the following organizational changes are recommended. We're recommending that the Veteran Services Officer position move from the administration budget to a newly created Veterans Affairs budget. Also recommending that we move 3 planning technician positions from the planning budget to the inspections budget. Moving the stormwater technician position from public utilities to the newly created stormwater budget. And then outside of the general fund, we are looking to add 1 position in the Tourism Development Authority and tourism related, which is an operations manager for Historic Corolla Park. And then in the solid waste fund, we are recommending adding a machine operator position. We were able this year, after reviewing some vacancies, to recommend eliminating several positions. So we are recommending the elimination of 1 social worker 3 position, 2 income maintenance caseworker 2 positions, 1 permit technician position, 1 planner 1 position, and 1 part-time summer maintenance position at the rural center. So enterprise funds are not included in the general fund, but I did want to touch on them briefly. Generally, enterprise funds account for operations that are financed and operate much like a private business. The county maintains 9 enterprise funds. The main funds, though, that we discuss are Mainland Water, Mainland Sewer, Southern Outer Banks Water, Ocean Sands Water and Sewer District, and Solid Waste. Again, these are all separate funds, and in your budget document, the department fund budgets begin on page 128. Just wanted to highlight a few of the projects that are planned for the upcoming fiscal year. The first 3 items are all planned within the Ocean Sands Water and Sewer District. The 2 items in the middle are planned within Mainland Water. And then the last 3 items, there's 1 project that's called out in Southern Outer Banks Water System. The following is within Mainland Sewer. And then the final project is within the Solid Waste Fund. So we'll touch briefly on one of our special revenue funds, which is the Moyock Stormwater Service District. Proposed budget recommends reducing the Moyock Watershed Service District tax from 1.5 cents to 1 cent. The fiscal year 25 projected levy was $238,793. The fiscal year 26 projected levy is $164,317. So there's sufficient fund balance within the fund and revenue to support the projects that currently exist. All right. So we've got some recommendations for fleet this year. The county makes considerable annual investments in its vehicle fleet. The average current cycle time of a county vehicle is 12.5 years. This lengthy cycle leads to high maintenance costs and greater fuel costs. To reduce this expense, staff evaluated participation in a vehicle lease program. It is recommended that we transition to a more sustainable fleet plan, lowering the holding period of a vehicle from 12.5 years to 4 to 5 years on average. Maintenance costs will decrease as the fleet age and cycle time decreases. Fuel costs should also decrease with more efficient vehicles in the fleet. A shorter cycle period also results in higher resale gains to reinvest into the fleet. Additionally, participation in a lease program reduces staff time associated with fleet management, as the lease program manager acquires vehicles and processes all documentation, provides tools for maintenance and fuel evaluation, consolidates billing, and handles resale. So this budget proposes the lease of 27 vehicles across all funds at a projected cost of $321,667. Included in the budget document is a capital improvement plan. In a deliberate process, county departments were asked to identify capital needs from fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 30, or 2030. The result is the fiscal year 2026 through 2030 capital improvement program that is recommended to you for adoption with the fiscal year 26 budget. The fiscal year 26 capital requests for the general fund, special revenue funds, and enterprise funds are included in the budget document starting on page 133. Long-term requests, which are years 27 through 2030, for the general fund, special revenue funds, and enterprise funds, begin on page 151 of the budget document. These projects represent planned projects that will be continually vetted and are subject to change. This budget maintains a property tax rate of 62 cents. I believe this $88,403,000, I'm gonna have to start over, sorry. $88,403,174 general fund operating budget is responsible for addressing community needs. As we've discussed in the past, there is a need to identify alternative revenue sources. I encourage you to consider placing a referendum on the November 2026 ballot to levy an additional 1/4% sales tax under Article 46 of the local option sales tax. The revenue is not restricted or earmarked and can therefore be used for any purpose allowed by counties. The 1/4-cent sales tax will generate approximately $2.3 million annually based on current sales tax collections. And by comparison, 1 penny of Currituck County property tax generates $856,298. As this budget is transmitted to you from me, it now becomes your budget as the governing body to review, debate, modify, and adopt. On June 2nd, 2025, a budget work session will be held prior to your regular meeting. A public hearing on the budget will be held at your regular meeting on June 2nd as well at 6 p.m. At the historic courthouse. You may adopt the budget anytime following the public hearing, but before July 1st of 2025. In closing, I want to thank the department heads for their diligent and dedicated work in preparing their budget submissions. I also want to thank the budget team, our finance director, Sandra Hill. This is Sandra's last budget. She is retiring on June 30th, and she's not upset about that.
We are. We heard that before. Yeah.
I'd also like to thank Assistant Finance Director Karen Kraus, Assistant County Manager Melissa Futrell, and Public Information Officer Randall Edwards for all their efforts. So thank you for your attention and consideration of this proposed budget.
Okay, work session June 2nd. Huh?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sure that between now and then, you'll get plenty of phone calls and emails from the board about any particular thing that they wish to ask about. And we do adopt a, quote, 2-year budget, and it's balanced for next year as well, correct?
This year, you're just considering fiscal year '26.
Oh, okay, we used to do 2-year budgets. I'm new, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're renewed.
Yeah, I'm old news. So, okay, anyone have any questions?
Not yet.
Hearing none, we'll go to the next agenda item, consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move for
Thank you, by the way.
Welcome.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Next is Commissioners' Report. We'll start with you, Mr. Etheridge. Mr. McCord?
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mr. Etheridge.
Tonight, when we said the Pledge of Allegiance, we're hearing constantly now we've got to save our democracy. The Pledge of Allegiance does not say, and to the democracy for which it stands, it says to a republic, which is a constitutional republic, representative form of government. We don't have a pure democracy, and we couldn't exist if we had one, because that would let everybody have a say-so on every item. And I wonder, would we have put the efforts into World War II and other conflicts if we had a pure democracy? So remember that, especially as we come up on Memorial Day, and as Mr. Davis said in his prayer, to memorialize those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we enjoy.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McCord?
I'm gonna be brief. I was 2 in a row of no comment, but I do have a couple things.
Brief is not in your
Yeah,
vocabulary.
brief is, probably not. My mind just went, David Baldwin who came, they gave me a nice presentation. That's why I had to leave during the work session. Or gave me a nice plaque that they had done up. Like I said, they've done a lot, and I've helped them, as well as when Robert was here with some, like she showed on that slide, of 120 veterans that were serviced. So I'm hopefully, like I know the manager will get that position filled. I know they've had a lot of applicants, so that's a good thing. So I wanted to just to thank the Legion. Yeah, man, nice little plaque. I had to sit it back here because it's not a pop, the bubble wrap that was on it. So that was pretty nice. I'd like to thank them for that. And that's it. The roads are getting busy. Traffic's getting busy. Drive with common sense, people. Stoplight in Baxter's getting ready to come on to play, and we live in a great place, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Mr. Angel?
I got nothing.
Ms. Rose?
Well, I attended a Trillium meeting in Ahoskie, and for those of you that maybe need services of Trillium, they really do work hard to meet the needs of all citizens in our area. I also joined Mr. Etheridge and Mr. Angel with the Lower Currituck Volunteer Fire Department. I was encouraged in what they had to say. They did mention wanting to do some training on an old I think Mr. Angel mentioned that to you. It's a 7-year-old junk vehicle there.
No, it's been broke down for 7 years.
Okay, broke down for 7 years, and they need permission to use it for training. So they need for the county to release it. And I got a phone call from someone calling to give Mr. Nunes a compliment. They were in a situation where they had overlooked something they were supposed to do, a piece of paper that they were supposed to get signed. He worked with them to help them get through a tough situation. I like hearing that our county departments are working with citizens, and sometimes I hope that our water department will work with those that are late paying water bills since they didn't go out. And, whether it's someone who needs to get in somewhere early because they've rented the Extension Center or rented the Whalehead Club. I hope we'll work with everybody and just try to meet the needs of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Payment?
Nothing tonight.
Ms. Jarvis?
Well, it's graduation season. I had the opportunity to attend 2 out of the 3 COA graduation ceremonies this past week. Over 260 students graduated with diploma certifications and degrees, many of them Currituck County students and residents. The reason they had 3 ceremonies this year is so everyone could have as many parents, friends, family members attend and not be limited by a number of tickets. And that allowed a lot of people to attend and see their loved ones graduate, so I'll commend them for that. At the 3 o'clock Elizabeth City graduation on Wednesday, one of the keynote speakers was, and all of their keynote speakers are graduates, but the keynote speaker that spoke second at that ceremony was Chloe Sanders, who is a senior at Currituck County High School and a proud COA alumnus now. She had a great story. She moved to Currituck County with her military family and kind of wasn't sure what path to go down, and in conversations with the guidance department at the high school and the COA staff, she has now got her associate's degree just before she gets her high school diploma, and she did a great job of explaining how COA can change lives. I also had the opportunity to attend the groundbreaking for the new COA Allied Health Science Building in Elizabeth City on Friday. And that is going to be a fantastic addition to the COA campus. It is going to serve all kinds of healthcare professionals. It is going to have dental hygienist programs, as well as training for medical staff, and not to mention their world-class nursing program. And I do want to give a shout out to our chairman. For those who don't know, Chairman Paul O'Neill was on the Board of Trustees at COA for many, many years. He also currently sits on the COA Foundation, and he was instrumental in getting state funding for this $25 million building, and we are very appreciative for him to do that. He is the reason that groundbreaking happened on Friday. Finally, I would like to just give a shout out to our Parks and Recs department. In the last week, I have had an opportunity to visit several of the parks, from Maple Park to Sound Park to Heritage Park in Corolla, and they are beautiful places. We are so lucky to have such a dedicated space for enjoyment, for peace, serenity, baseball, soccer, you name it. We are truly blessed, and these parks couldn't look better. So I just want to give them a shout out. And I'm assuming our county manager will talk about our meeting in Raleigh, so I will stop there.
I don't have anything to report now, other than to say that at one of the COA meetings, Governor Glenn Youngkin attended the COA meeting because he has a family member that went through our nursing program at COA. And a lot of people don't realize this, but COA has consistently been the #1 nursing program in North Carolina. I mean, against Duke, Chapel Hill, East Carolina. When it comes to the metrics of comparison, COA is the #1 nursing program in the state. Against all those big universities, our metrics are just untouchable at COA. So it's a gym in our backyard for some of you young folks that want to get into the medical field. There's a lot of opportunities out there, so don't pass it up. And we did go to Raleigh on Monday, but I'll let the county manager report on that. I hope we didn't just put her on the spot, but if we did, she'll be good. So with that, county manager's report.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to speak about that. So Chairman O'Neill and Vice Chair Jarvis and I traveled to Raleigh this past Monday for a pre-scoping meeting for the Whalehead Channel Restoration Project. Senator Hannig and Representative Goodwin also attended the meeting with representatives from various divisions of the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, the Army Corps of Engineers, and Wildlife Resources Commission. Our consultant provided an historical overview of the project and also described recommendations for channel alignment, for dredging methods, and also conceptual mitigation measures. So overall, it was a really positive meeting, and we've come out of it now. The regulatory agencies are going to travel to the site for an additional site visit. And we'll get that scheduled in the coming weeks, and then we will work on a permit and schedule a scoping meeting.
Sounds good.
Yes, so very positive. Also wanted to share that last week, Assistant County Manager Melissa Futrell and I had a meeting with ITRI, which is a group from North Carolina State University. The acronym is ITRI, but the group is the Institute for Transportation Research and Education. You may be familiar with them from work that they've done with the school system in the past. They do work on determining building capacity. But we reached out to them to see if they would be interested in working with us on a transportation study for the off-road. And we had a very positive meeting with them. They've actually provided us a scope of services today that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. But we discussed the use of cameras, of license plate reading cameras, of also conducting surveys, and then utilizing a tool called Placer AI, which was as equally fascinating as it was terrifying. But I'm excited for you all to see that and to bring that project forward. In other good news, the mobile wastewater plant met permits for the month of April. So we're very pleased to share that. Let's see.
Is that three, if you don't mind me asking, is that 3 months in a row?
That's 2 months. They're not contiguous. I believe we were compliant in February. We missed the March.
We had one ding in March.
One perimeter in March, correct, and then compliant in April.
there.
So we're
2
making
in a row is a streak.
great progress, and I want to recognize especially Will Rumsey, our Public Utilities Manager, and Rod Holly, our wastewater superintendent, who are working really hard to bring that plant into compliance. Just also a reminder that county administrative offices, the animal shelter, libraries, convenience sites, transfer station, and museums will be closed next Monday in observance of Memorial Day. And I think that wraps it up for me.
But your commissioners will still be on the job. County Attorney?
No report.
All right, I need a motion to recess our regular meeting and reconvene as the Tourism Development Authority.
So moved.
Have a motion, second, all in favor, aye. Opposed? Madam Manager?
Sure.
Busy night for you.
Yeah. This is our Super Bowl.
There's only one team.
Yeah. You're right. We are all one team.
You're not first.
That's true.
You're right.
It's bedtime.
Okay, so this is the Tourism Development Authority fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. The Tourism Development Authority Fund revenues primarily consist of lodging occupancy tax, which is currently at 6%, which is authorized by legislation that is largely restricted to promote tourism and tourism-related activities. I'm not going to read through all that, but you'll see here, so funded through occupancy tax, retail sales of items at visitor centers and historic Corolla Park, and then through promotional events throughout the county. As I just mentioned, occupancy tax collections are restricted to tourism. Currently, 33.3% of occupancy taxes collected must be used for items that are promoting tourism, and 66.7% of taxes collected must be used for tourism-related expenditures. So that breaks down to 2/3 for tourism related and 1/3 for tourism promotions.
So safety of the tourists is an important issue, correct? Good. So we need to keep them safe with law enforcement and all that. Good.
That's correct.
So in calendar year 2024, we collected $19.7 million, which, we're still seeing increases annually. However, things are starting to slow down, and it looks like things are returning to our pre-COVID normal.
What was the last, probably don't have it, last number before COVID?
I'm not sure.
It's
I can
still a
find out
lot.
for you. It's still a lot, definitely. For the authority's management operation of the county's travel and tourism department, media, print publications, and other promotional activities in this proposed budget allocate $4,671,048. This allocation represents a decrease of $74,347 from the fiscal year 2025 adopted budget. On the tourism-related side, the recommended budget allocates that's not correct. It is $4,387,312. So broken down further within tourism-related, there's general tourism-related expenditures. There's funding for operations within historic Corolla Park. And then there's also capital outlay in the amount of $5,577,500. So these purchases and improvements include $150,000 for sign replacement at the Moyoc Welcome Center, $35,000 for interior and exterior painting at the Moyoc Welcome Center, and $4.5 million for the design and construction of the new visitor center in Corolla, which we are excited to get started. It also includes $180,000 for a backhoe replacement that's used over in the park and then also in the off-road and at the ramp. $65,000 for repairs to the horse fence, $40,000 for restroom renovation at the Wildlife Education Center. There are some digital projects at the Wildlife Education Center totaling just over, looks like close to $170,000 for carpet replacement, roof repairs, a fiber upgrade, a security system, and some new exhibit case lighting at the Wildlife Education Center. So we do have some maintenance concerns there that we will be addressing this year. There's also $30,000 included for a fiber connection from the Wildlife Education Center to Whalehead. There's $250,000 included for repairs to the Whalehead Club. And then some additional funding for replacement as HVAC units at the Whalehead Club, which is a traditional expense. And then some additional funding for the Wildlife Education Center for a structural beam repair in the amount of $35,000. There are also transfers of $727,238. So those go to funding the administration of occupancy tax collections, $40,000 for marketing for the airport promotional efforts, as well as the transfer to Currituck Beach Road Service District in the amount of $70,000, which you all requested that we increase that transfer from $30,000 to $70,000 this year. I mentioned earlier that there is a position change. There's actually 2 position changes recommended in the Tourism Development Authority budget this year. The first is the addition of an operations manager in historic Corolla Park to help manage that site and the 3 facilities there. And then the recommended budget also includes the elimination of the Assistant Promotions and Events Coordinator position in the Tourism Promotions budget. Also, we are recommending an increase to the hourly rate for Visitor Relations Coordinator position from $16.24 to $17 an hour. And those are the folks that work at the visitor centers in Moyock and Corolla, and then also on the grounds in the park. Just wanted to highlight a couple projects that are ongoing that use occupancy tax. So we currently have under design the herring, tuna, and shad walkovers. This is, I believe, phase 4 of the 5-phase walkover replacement project. So we are nearing the end. Our hope is to bid these out over the summer for construction over the fall and winter of the upcoming year. The Corova Beach Park boardwalk repairs, all designed for that project, is also currently underway. The Whalehead dredging project we just spoke about and hope to see good progress on that this year. We heard earlier this evening from Coastal Protection Engineering on our shoreline stability study and beach management project. And then the final large project that we have over in Corolla this year design is underway, is for a greenway extension from Albacore to Dolphin Street. So this is the section that runs from Timbuktu beyond that commercial area down to Dolphin Street. So this year's proposed budget is $15,363,098. And I believe that it is responsible to expend occupancy tax. Again, as this budget now becomes yours, you can review, debate, modify, and adopt it as you see fit. We will hold the budget work session on June 2nd. And the public hearing will also be held on June 2nd. And at that point, you may adopt the budget, or you may choose not to, but it must be adopted by July 1st. It is included in that document, yes. Thank you.
That's straight.
All right. The budget will be available on the county website, and questions can be directed to the commissioner's email address on the screen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn the tourism development.
Mr. Chairman, you have additional items on the TDA this evening.
Oh, I do?
Yes. From Cameron.
I was moving on. Keep going then, please.
All right, I will. Yes, Tamron.
So is this Ms. Kugler's turn?
It is Ms. Kugler's turn.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. We met with 10 applicants for the event grants. We were just so pleased to have people finally seeming to understand what the events grants are and actually applying for them. So all of the grants were really good this year. They were well thought out. We did change the application process to make them think a little bit more. And I think that was a good thing. In fact, Scott Wheeler told me that it was the most rigorous thing he's done since he was in college. So that was a good thing. So it made people think about how the funds are going to be used, what they're going to do to sustain the grant as it goes forward. So the ones that we are considering tonight, and by the way, we had enough funding if you approve the budget. We have allocated $150,000 in the tourism promotion budget for these event grants. We do have enough to cover the full funding. So we have enough to cover for everyone who asked for their amounts. So these include the Corolla Christmas Village Market. This is actually changing hands from Twitty and Company, and it will be managed by the Kind Cup this year. So they've asked for $20,000. Winter Wonderland by Piles Market. They asked for $10,050. The OBX Festival of Golf, they asked for $20,000. This is a program that's been going on for a couple of years, but it's growing exponentially. They're now doing 2. So they have golfers coming in from all over the country and outside internationally, and they play golf for about 4 days, I believe. So that was asked for by OBX Golf Travel. Plows, Pumpkins, and Farmers Fall Festival. This is a continuation of a festival that started last year, and they're asking for $9,950. The Currituck Chamber has an event, the Kerala Sea Glass and Coastal Art Show. They have asked for $20,000. The Kerala 10-miler race, this was Scott Wheeler's project. He's asking for $20,000. Artsy August is the Kerala Beach Volunteer Fire Department Auxiliary. This is going to be a series of art shows in the off-road, so we're really excited about that. They asked for $12,500. Another project that they have proposed or for a grant is the Pirate Run, and they've asked for $7,500. So that will be a 5K up in the off-road area. And finally, an ongoing project, actually not finally, but Mustang Mornings. They are on their fourth year, and they have asked for $10,000, which they are eligible for. And the Currituck Wildlife Festival, they are in their 4th year, and they have asked for 10. So these were all some really great festivals that people are proposing. Commissioner Angel was there listening to, and everybody's very enthusiastic. We're really glad that we have organizations stepping up in the county to put these events on, because we just don't have the manpower to do it ourselves. So these are great amenities for our visitors and also for our residents. So I would ask you to please consider full funding of these grants. So thank you.
Thank you.
What was the total she said?
150.
So that'll be a part of the budget approval.
No, it's a separate approval.
Is that for consideration tonight?
Consideration this
Yeah.
evening.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries.
Oh, she don't go with the event.
Now, I need a motion to adjourn the Tourism Development Authority
moved.
special meeting and reconvene as the Ocean Sands Water and Sewer District Board. Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
I have a motion. Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is that your?
Third quarter.
Okay. We're losing folks. It'll be fast.
Blowout.
Yeah.
Audience is leaving, or the crowd's leaving.
No, I'll try not to take it personally. Okay, so this is the fiscal year 2026 Ocean Sands Water and Sewer District budget. A water and sewer district is an entity that serves a small geographical area in the county and provides a greater level of service than other areas of the county receive. Ocean Sands Water and Sewer District is expected to pay for its operational and capital needs through financial resources from ad valorem taxes within the district and rates charged for utility services. So again, this is a separate fund. It must balance, the revenue and the expenditure must balance. These are the expenditures for the water and sewer district. The proposed budget includes the allocation of funds for capital outlay totaling $683,500 for some of the following purposes. I won't read them all, but I will highlight, as we saw on an earlier screen, there's $70,000
appropriated to replace the dump valve at the Ocean Sands Water Tower. There's $180,000 appropriated for spray field rehabilitation at the wastewater treatment plant. There is also $70,000 appropriated for lift station rehabilitation, $100,000 for a new generator for lift station number 4. And then the last of the larger projects is $100,000 for new SCADA for the wastewater treatment plant and lift station. So that is telemetry, which provides the operators the ability to see what's going on at the plant without having to physically be there. So the total Ocean Sands Water and Sewer District budget is $3,441,218. And I believe it is responsible to properly meet the district's financial needs. Again, now this budget becomes yours. And we will have our budget work session on June 2nd, the public hearing on June 2nd, at which point you may adopt the budget or may choose not to, as long as it is adopted by July 1st of 2025. This budget is also included in the binder that you received and will be available on the county website and also in the clerk's office for review. And then any comments can be mailed to the commissioner's email address.
That it?
That is it. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So now we need a motion to adjourn the Ocean Sands Water Sewer District and reconvene as the Currituck County Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Next, we need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A5 to establish or instruct county staff concerning the position to be taken in negotiating the material terms of a contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase or exchange owned by GB Banks and located on 133 Maple Road, Maple, NC, PIN number to be used for any public purpose. Also pursuant to NCGS 143-318.1A6 to discuss a personnel matter, and also per NCGS 143-318.11A3 to consult with the county attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege in the matter entitled Judith M. Ayers versus Currituck County Department of Social Services. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Going to the GIS.